you have 200 plus entries for this competition, which in a market the size that New Zealand is quite astonishing to me, because that's actually quite a much larger number than the IPA Effectiveness Awards have ever attracted in the UK. So I think you should be very proud of that. And that suggests one important thing, that effectiveness is something that people take for granted and think about a lot. It's regarded as the norm, if you like, rather than the exception. So for me, what was interesting about the papers I read was actually not very much to do with the fact that this comes from New Zealand as opposed to the UK or any other country in the world. I was just interested in the papers because of what they were telling me about the state of the communications industry at the present time. So what struck me about reading these papers together is how many of them do use not just social media, because that's just one particular trick in the book, if you like, but how many of them depended on making things happen, getting people talking, having events that attracted public imagination. I think it's also important to remember that we shouldn't forget that TV advertising and print advertising and long-term sustainable campaigns in what we now call paid-for media actually still do probably have a really important part to play, and that paid-for media may be something you have to pay a lot more money for, but that money may still be actually worth it, because in the long run that's what will make the difference. I didn't see so much evidence of long-term branding campaigns. It's always easier to focus on short-term promotional campaigns with short-term results and forget about the fact that the major contribution that a lot of advertising actually makes is only found over the long term and is found in things like price premium rather than volume and so on. So my word of advice to the people working in this market in the field of effectiveness is everything you're doing at the moment is great, and I wouldn't want to be without any of it, and I wouldn't want to undervalue any of it. But I think it might also just a word to suggest that to pay attention to the value of long-term big budget media campaigns is also something not to forget about, that the big brands in this market are supporting themselves over the long term, not just by their wonderful experiential or social tactical campaigns, but by the money that they're actually spending in mass media.